Did you know that the Star of David has no biblical reference and cannot be found anywhere in the Torah? That's right, there is no reference to the Star or Shield of David at all. In fact, the earliest archaeological finds can be found on the wall of the 6th century synagogue within the borders of ancient Israel. However, there have been variations of the symbol used in other cultures as well, at much earlier dates, which I'll go over soon. However, this star was not popularized again into the modern culture until it was used by the Zionist movement, which was started by the Rothschild banking dynasty in association with Theodor Herzl. As it turns out, Meir Amschel Bauer, an Ashkenazi Jew, who was the son of a moneylender, got the inspiration of using this hexagram from his father, who bare this symbol on the entrance door to his counting house. Bauer, recognizing the significance of the red hexagram, changed his name from Bauer to Rothschild, named after the red hexagram, or the sign signifying 666, hanging over the entrance door. Roth is German for red, Schild is German for sign, red shield, red sign. So Rothschild literally means this symbol. Bauer was also believed to be well versed in Jewish mysticism and other Kabbalist teachings. The six-pointed star is called a hexagram, and to many Christians, the symbol represents the nation of Israel. They call it the Star of David. However, as mentioned earlier, no such Star of David can be found in the Bible or the Torah. But for a closer look at history and the purpose of this symbol, you will find that it reveals something much different to what we're being told. The star consists of two intertwined triangles, one pointing up to God and the other pointing down to man, symbolizing the relationship between the two worlds, the spiritual world and the physical world. While there are many other interpretations for the symbol, it is commonly said to mean as above, so below. However, numerically, it is also representative of the number 666, which biblically is the number of the beast. But to break it down more clearly, we can see that there are 6 points on this star. There are also 6 triangles or pyramids within the star. And then finally, there is also a 6-sided polygon within the star, 666. Also, a Masonic book called The Second Mile, an Eastern Star book, reveals that the 6-pointed star is a very ancient symbol and one of the most powerful. They quote, "The hexagram is used in magic, witchcraft, sorcery, and occultism, and the casting of zodiacal horoscopes by astrologers. It was considered to possess mysterious powers." However, to get a proper understanding of this symbol, we first need to go back to see what is written in the Bible. And just before we do, I firstly wanted to mention that there are no commandments from Jesus or the apostles that says Christians have to get involved with God's plan for the nation of Israel, especially militarily or politically. Anything short of sharing the gospel with them. The Bible does not command it at all, so I have no idea why many Christians get behind Israel like their souls depend on it. With that said, at the end of Acts 6, we are introduced with the character called Stephen, who is a follower of Jesus. In these verses, Stephen is seized and brought before the council of Jewish leaders. Verse 11 through 15 record of the false accusations made towards Stephen. It is written, "Then they suborned men, which said, We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and against God. And they stirred up people, and the elders, and the scribes, and came upon him, and caught him, and brought him to the council, and set up false witnesses, which said, This man casteth not to speak blasphemous words against this holy place and the law. For we have heard him say, that Jesus of Nazareth shall destroy this place, and shall change the customs which Moses delivered to us. And all that sat in the council looked steadfastly upon him, saw his face as it has been the face of an angel." So, here we see Stephen accused of speaking blasphemous words against Moses, Jewish customs, God, and the God's dwelling place, the temple. Beginning in verse 37, Stephen recounts of when the fathers refused the oracles given to Moses on Mount Sinai, and instead desired to set up their own gods. Quote, "To whom our fathers would not obey, but thrust him from them, and in their hearts turned back again into Egypt, saying unto Aaron, Make us gods to go before us. For as for this Moses, which brought us out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And they made a calf in those days, and offered up sacrifices unto the idol, and rejoiced in the works of their own hands. Then God turned and gave them up to the worship to the hosts of heavens, as it is written in the book of prophets, O ye house of Israel, have ye offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Yea, ye take up the tabernacle of Moloch, and the star of your god Remphan, figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. Some Christians relate the symbol of Moloch with Lucifer. However, there are far more esoteric meanings behind it. According to many biblical commentaries, the word Remphan is synonymous with the planet Saturn. Remphan also appears to have been understood by the Septuagint translators as an equivalent for the Hebrew word Chayun, which is supposed by many scholars to be identified with the planet Saturn. And keeping that Chayun word in mind, we also come across this which is written in Amos 5:26. But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch, and the Chayun your images, the star of your god which ye made to yourselves. Moloch, Chayun, and Remphan are all names for the star god Saturn, whose symbol is a six-pointed star formed by two triangles. Saturn was the supreme god of the Chaldeans, whose teachings can be found in Freemasonry today. And unsurprisingly, this crypto-Judaic front, known as Freemasonry, also has the great goal to one day rebuild Solomon's temple. That's the occult one, not the Jewish one. One of the main reasons it's called the Star of David is because King Solomon adopted it as his main symbol when he was building pagan temples for some of his pagan wives. Former Satanists adamantly state that King Solomon actually became one of the most powerful shamans in world history, having slipped deeply into the practice of the occult. This view is also fully endorsed by 1 Kings 11:4-9. Just to highlight this in better detail, Dr. O.J. Graham, in his book The Six-Pointed Star, claims, the first mention of this symbol was back in 922 BC, when Solomon got involved in witchcraft and magic. This book traces the worship of Ashtoreth and Chayun and Remphan from the Egyptians before Solomon's time. Then afterwards, in the Arab magic and witchcraft through the Middle Ages, it was used by the Druids during the highest Sabbath of the witches called Halloween. The family of Rothschild, the pioneers of Zionism, and Hitler have all used this symbol, as has the cassette. Finally, it is featured on the flag of Israel. Today it is recognized as the Jewish symbol. However, it is anything but Jewish. We can also see Saturn depicted as the six-pointed star in ancient Sumerian and Babylonian art. So we also know that it relates back to a time in which Kabbalism and Jewish mysticism was born. Kabbalah is a mystical and occult form of Jewish thought, and is the source for many occult practitioners from Freemasons, pagans, to the New Age movement and even Buddhists. Its central literature is found in the Book of Zohar, and if you do a bit of research you will find that it was all very common practice in these Talmudic times for Jewish mystics to recycle and even steal esoteric wisdoms from other cultures. This includes the Greeks, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, and even the Hindus. To quote the Jewish Encyclopedia on the origins of the Zohar, they claim, "To determine the country in which the work originated, and at the time at which its teachings began to develop, it is necessary to ascertain where and when the Jews became intimately acquainted with the Hindu philosophy, which more than any other exercised an influence on the Zohar." Further down they also claim, "The theory the Earth is a sphere revolving around us on its axis, which immortalized Copernicus, was previously known only to the Hindus, who were instructed in the truth of it by Aryabhata in the 1st century before the Common Era. As far as is known, the Vedanta school of Hindu philosophers found nowhere outside of its place of origin." Under its influence, the Mohammedans of Persia found many mystic sects, among them being that the Sufis, who for many centuries were very numerous. This mystic movement did not fail to exercise an influence upon the Persian Jews, and there arose among them various sects, such as the Isawites and the Huguenots, etc. In Hinduism, we also see the use of this hexagram in the form of something called yantras. These yantras all represent a different form of prayer to a deity and a different element, symbol within each yantra. For an example, one yantra is dedicated to obtaining money, wealth and power, and another is linked exclusively to the Hindu god Shiva. We also know that there is a direct relevance to the planet Saturn and the planet Mars and the alignment of those two planets. Perhaps Mayer Amschel Bauer, Rothschild and his father Moses associated their money worship with Shiva and the yantras for wealth, but who knows for sure. One thing is for certain, this handed down knowledge, which the Jews recycled for themselves, would become an instrumental part of what is Kabbalah and Judaism today. As we know, modern Jews who put the Talmud above the Torah, through the guise of Judaism, we have a religious sect which openly worships the Gnostic and mystic aspects of ancient cultures and long-forgotten god deities. So we can clearly see how astrology, Saturn worship, Moloch worship, and even heliocentricity was all originally coined under Kabbalism. It is central and exclusive to Jewish mysticism and the Zohar, and much of the teachings are being pushed into mainstream science even today. While some people claim that the so-called Star of David has had many practical uses in history by different cultures, that part is true. But all of the information associated with the hexagram and mysticism seems to find itself in the same place, Kabbalism. From the perspective of a true Jew who follows the Torah, it is written that these types of mysticism are forbidden and related to Satan. And from a true Christian perspective, they should view this star as an abomination and should not associate it with God's chosen people, because even the New Testament forbids this type of mysticism. In fact, these people are said to be false Jews in the book of Revelations. Revelations 2.9 says, "I know your afflictions and your poverty, yet you are rich. I know about the slander of those who say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan." So there you have it, folks. From the Christian perspective, or the Torah true Jew perspective, the star is synonymous with evil and is not a symbol of David, but is a symbol of wealth, Shiva, Saturn, and Satan, and is now the symbol that Rothschild demands is used on the flag of the State of Israel. The same star that the people of Israel decorate their tanks and bombs with. The same star that brainwashed Christians idolize even today. That's about all I have time for today, folks, but if you do want to read more on this topic, check the description below where I list some sources. And also be sure to subscribe, as I really do enjoy covering these types of topics. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the comments section below. Also, I wanted to let you guys know, in pursuit of finding an alternative to Facebook and Reddit, I'd like to announce that I'm no longer on Reddit, and I have since gone to Steam it. So if you're on that platform, be sure to find me. Until next time guys, thanks for watching.